This is the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast, Episode 15. The Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast is a bi-weekly podcast dedicated to the world of scuba diving, ocean health, sustainability, and fostering a new generation of ocean stewards through diving education. Hello again, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this latest episode. I'm Jeff Centropino, founder and president of the Scuba Educational Alliance of Connecticut, and your host. The big news from our nonprofit is that we've selected our 2025 scholarship winners. We ended up selecting 2 students for our open water scholarship and also 2 divers for advanced open water training. We were able to fund a second advanced open water diver, so we're pretty excited about that. And we're excited to be off and running, creating that new generation of ocean stewards. And then there's the return of Major League Baseball. Now, after a dismal hockey season for the Flyers, I've turned my attention to the Phillies, and I'm looking forward to the long season. We're off to a good start. Now we just need to get to the bottom of that new torpedo bat causing a bit of an uproar. Well, the Beneath the Sea dive show just wrapped up in New Jersey, and I had a chance to attend one day. So today's feature segment will be a recap of my time at the show. But up first is Sea State for some news and information updates. This is Sea State here on the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast for Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Let's start off today with a little bit of news from Divers Alert Network. Dan recently released a 4-part series on scuba cylinders on their YouTube channel. The videos are hosted by Francois Berman from Dan and feature Mark Gresham from Professional Scuba Inspectors, Professional Cylinder Inspectors. You might know them as PSI-PCI. And he literally wrote the book on cylinder inspections. The 4 parts cover an overview of cylinder safety, filling stations, cylinder valves and threads, and wraps up with a discussion on oxygen cleaning. The 4 parts take about 45 minutes to review all of them, and they're a great refresher on understanding that scuba cylinders, while very durable, also have some risks. Did you know that an aluminum 80 cylinder, when pressurized to 3,000 psi, has the same amount of energy as a car traveling down the highway at 70 miles per hour? Think of that the next time you handle a cylinder. But let's keep up with some more video news. I received an email from the Coral Restoration Foundation on their latest innovations, and in that message they told us about a WEDU PBS documentary titled Good Natured. CRF was featured in this video by Ashley Stokes, specifically about the mass coral bleaching event from 2023. Bailey Thomason from CRF talks about the work that they did to protect surviving corals, how they moved them to the deeper water and also transferred them to various land-based facilities like the Keys Marine Laboratory. It was pretty dramatic to see the bleached staghorn and elkhorn corals in nurseries. There is one very cool sequence of spotted eagle rays swimming through those nurseries. Now, the video is about an hour long and features a lot of different aspects of how Ashley reconnected with nature. The premiere was on February 19th at the Tampa Theater, and you can stream Good Natured at www.wedu.org/shows. There are some really great shots of nature in the sunshine state. So, just what is a sharktopus? Maybe you've already heard about this. Well, there's an article from Smithsonian Magazine online by Sarah Hashimi from March 21st, 2025, titled Sharktopus. Watch an octopus hitch a ride on a shark. Turns out the researchers in New Zealand captured the video but didn't know what to make of the behavior. Now, this happened in December 2023 when marine ecologist Rochelle Constantine spotted a mako shark near the surface with an orange spot on its head. So they sent up a drone to capture the behavior. Sure enough, after evaluation, they determined that it was an octopus hitching a ride on the mako. Now, the findings were only published in March 2025. Guess they needed time to be sure. This happened in Hauraki Gulf off New Zealand's North Island. Now, mako sharks are fast, and they can reach speeds of 31 miles per hour, or about 50 kilometers an hour. So if you want to get a look at sharktopus, go over to YouTube and search on Marine Mystery of Octopus Riding a Shark. Weird behavior indeed. It's time to start planning for PADI Women's Diver Day 2025. PADI recently announced the date, Saturday, July 19th, 2025, for their 11th annual Women's Diver Day. They started this event back in 2015 as a way to get more women inspired and empowered to become involved in scuba, either as recreational divers or dive professionals, and also to promote ocean awareness. PADI is calling on all of their 6,600 dive centers and 128,000 professionals to join in by either hosting an event or participating in one. Now, there are all kinds of activities that have taken place in the past, like cleanups both above and below water, support for local shelters, or work in coral nurseries. Is this making a difference? Well, back in 2015, when PADI started this annual event, they indicated that women accounted for 35% of yearly certifications. Last year, that number increased to 40%. I guess you could say it does. Since 2015, PADI estimates that over 6,000 women across 183 countries have been a part of PADI Women's Diver Day. So mark your calendar now. That's July 19th, 2025 for this year's PADI Women's Dive Day. Now, Orcatorch has a new technical handheld cordless primary dive light, the D920. The D920 offers a maximum 5,000 lumens brightness with a 9-degree beam. So that's pretty powerful. Now, it has 4 operational modes. The turbo mode is the 5,000 lumens with a burn time of 1 hour and 30 minutes. Then you can step it down to a high at 2,400 lumens, and that will last you 4 hours and 25 minutes. The medium setting for brightness is 850 lumens with a burn time of 10 hours and 20 minutes. And finally, the low setting offers 350 lumens that will run for 35 hours. I'd like to see that. That's a long time. Pretty powerful using the 74-watt lithium-ion battery. It comes with a Goodman handle and a handheld grip and uses a magnetic tail switch featuring magnetic tail charging. They indicated that it takes about 2 hours and 30 minutes to fully charge. Now, the D920 is big. The head diameter is 61 millimeters or 2.5 inches, and it is long at 6.5 inches or 167 millimeters. The light weighs 730 grams or 1.6 pounds. Right now, they are advertising a pre-order price for the D920 at $399.95, 20% off their MSRP of $499.95. If you're like me, you probably want to see it first for fit and feel. So find a dealer, head down, and see if they have one for that you can take a look at for yourself. You got to support the local dive shops, and who knows what this will cost down the road with the tariff situation. We've seen what that did to Light in Motion. Let's wrap up today with some more video news. This one is pretty special, and it comes from Jim Elliott and Dive Heart. The title is Legend of the Statue. The statue is the Christ of the Abyss or Christ of the Deep statue in John Pennekamp State Park in Key Largo. It tells the absolutely fascinating story of how Gabe Spataro got the statue from Italy to Chicago and then down to Florida. The statue was donated by Cressy to the Underwater Society of America. Just so happens that Gabe was a member and tasked with getting the statue to the USA from Genoa with no budget. Gabe tells us the story with all its twists and turns, but the kicker comes in 2013 when Gabe, now blind, heads to Key Largo with some other disabled Korean War vets to dive the statue for the first time. I'll leave it at that because you really should take the time to watch the video. It runs 28 minutes long and it's really fascinating. And if you're ever down in Key Largo diving Christ of the Abyss, you'll get a whole new appreciation for the statue. Well, that's it for this installment of Sea State here on the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast. Last weekend, I headed down to New Jersey to attend one day of the Beneath the Sea Scuba Oceans Exposition Dive and Travel Show. Now, I first heard about Beneath the Sea many years ago, but didn't make it down there for the first time until 2019. Little did I know what would lie ahead for the show and the challenges that it faced with the pandemic. I guess the reason that I didn't attend in the past was because Beneath the Sea was always a week or two after Boston Sea Rover Symposium. And even though it's almost to the mile the same distance from my house, it seemed like Secaucus, New Jersey was a bit of a stretch. Beneath the Sea did make its comeback in 2023, and this year they celebrated their 46th show. Beneath the Sea was founded by Zig and JoAnn Zigahn back in 1976. The show is currently held at the Meadowlands Exposition Center in Secaucus, New Jersey, and draws divers from all around the Northeast. It runs over a 3-day period with various seminars, conferences, dinners, receptions, and of course, the main exhibit hall. Shows like this are not easy to produce, and that gets even more challenging when it's done all by volunteers, not to mention that it is very expensive. So I left very early Sunday morning to head out, and fortunately the drive down was very easy with absolutely no traffic, even going over the George Washington Bridge. I got there about an hour before the doors opened and had enough time to find a bagel shop for breakfast, something about New York bagels that just tastes different. Now after buying my ticket, I had a few minutes to review the program and the exhibit floor. You see, I had made a list prior to going down to the show of who I wanted to talk to. Then it was time to hit the floor as the doors opened promptly at 9:30 a.m. As folks panned out across the exhibit hall, I started my ritual. You see, I like to walk up and down the various aisles and get a lay of the land. Even though I've looked at the floor map multiple times, I just like to see the physical layout. One of my first stops was at the Dan booth. I had been working with Shelley Wright for several years on Dan liability insurance, and most recently, Shelley and I connected on a travel insurance article that I'm working on, and since Shelley was at the show, I stopped by to say hello and thank her for her time. Folks in the diving industry are very generous with their time, that's for sure. Yes, we are a social industry. Now, I did have a chance to connect with Susan Long from Mexico Liveaboards, and she gave me an update on their new boat, the Quino Del Mar. It's almost ready and should be in operation on July 5th, 2025. And that will be their first trip. When this new boat is operational, they're going to be retiring the Quino El Guardian. As I mentioned to Susan, the Sea of Cortez is one of my top 3 diving destinations. And if you have a chance to get out there, the adventure with Mexico Liveaboards is outstanding. Atlantis Dive Resort and Liveaboards are big supporters of Dive Show and were again right up front at Beneath the Sea. Les Corkle always seems to have a line of folks waiting to talk to him about their operation. Now, they recently purchased the Infinity liveaboard, and he said he would be heading out there to get on board soon. Now, I'm really looking forward to getting back to Dumageddon for a week's stay at Atlantis in October. Now, I'm always on the lookout for different travel opportunities and came across the Scuba Friends booth. Wasn't sure what that was, but stopped to talk to Daniel Hutchinson, the owner. Scuba Friends only does group travel, and they do 3 trips per year: Italy, Thailand, and Egypt. They combine diving with topside activities. The Italy trip looked really exciting, and they run that one in August. And well, it's sold out for 2025. Who knows? Maybe 2026. I also talked to Natalie Marletta, the general manager of the Pearl Resort in Fiji. They are offering a great 5-day package. Now, I think 5 days is a little short given the travel time to get out there from the East Coast. Natalie did indicate that there are direct flights from Dallas and Los Angeles to Fiji, which makes it a little easier. Fiji does sound nice, doesn't it? There were just so many travel destinations that dominated the exhibit floor. There were quite a few operators out of Roatan, Bonaire, and Cozumel. And if you couldn't find a particular destination at the show, you had your choice of dive travel agents to talk to, like Cardona Adventures or Scuba Travel Adventures. It was nice to see local dive shops exhibiting. Connecticut was well represented. Evolution Scuba had a double booth, and Ed Hayes had quite the contingent helping him out with a lot of activity. New England Dive has been a staple at Beneath the Sea, and Steve Domerod had his team manning a large quad booth. Now, having owned and operated a small local dive shop, it is an investment, a significant investment of time and money to exhibit at shows like Beneath the Sea or Boston Sea Rovers. And the scuba community should thank all these small businesses who keep shows like this going and keep the local touch alive. Now, in the Sea State segment, I told you about Dive Heart's video on the Christ of the Abyss statue. Well, Jim Elliott and Dive Heart had a booth at Beneath the Sea, and I had a chance to chat with Jim a bit more on the video, but also to catch up on his deep pool project. He said all the engineering work is done, they have the land, and now it's time to get the funds secured to build these 3 geothermally heated pools that they say that there is nothing like it in the world. I also talked to Gabriel Espino, one of the Dive Heart's lead instructors, about taking an adaptive dive buddy course with him. Gabe is based out of Key Largo, and I'm always up for a trip to the Keys. So we hear a lot about dive shows not being what they used to be, and that's fair. The absence of name brand manufacturers who were at one time staples of dive shows demonstrates this shift, and that is too bad. Divers like to see gear and talk to the name brand representatives. It gives us a deeper connection to the community and loyalty to those brands. I guess I think of it as you get more support when you give more support. But one thing for sure is the industry needs to have shows like Beneath the Sea, where divers of all stripes get together, learn, connect, and keep our sport alive. Well, in the program guide for Beneath the Sea, they published the dates for the 2026 show. That's a good sign, as we need to have get-togethers like this to keep a vibrant dive community. So that wraps up this latest episode of the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast. Thanks again for listening, and please pass it along. And I will talk to you again in a couple of weeks. This has been the Scuba Educational Alliance Ocean Podcast, a show dedicated to the world of scuba diving, ocean health, sustainability, and fostering a new generation of ocean stewards through diving education. Talk to you again real soon.